We left off the last video with the idea that Hamilton wanted the federal government to take over state debts and to have one national debt. That being said, he did not want the debt to get too large, so he did request a tax on whiskey to help lower the debt. Congress passed a tax on whiskey in 1791. The whiskey farmers, who were mostly poor and lived in western Pennsylvania, felt that Hamilton was taking it too easy on his friends, the bankers, and placing the burden of the government's debt solely on the farmers. The farmers protested for several years, and some even refused to pay the taxes. That is, they just wouldn't pay the tax. In 1794, the government amped up the efforts to collect the money, and in July 1794, a U.S. Marshal was sent to western Pennsylvania to collect the money. That meant basically that he was going to use force to get the money. Remember, if there's one thing America hates, it's taxes. This time, farmers were so enraged by the Marshal's presence that they decided to take arms and to fight the government. There were several thousand whiskey farmers in western Pennsylvania. They joined together and they were ready to fight the government. At one point, they even marched into Pittsburgh to show their strength. This gave President Washington a conundrum. Should he listen to the people and give in to their demands, or should the president, elected by the people, stand up to the people? Washington decided to stand up to the people, and he marched into western Pennsylvania with 13,000 troops. By the time he arrived, the protesters had fled, and there was nothing for him to fight. Thus, the Whiskey Rebellion had quickly come to an end. Now you might be asking, what is the big deal? This was a rebellion that lasted a few weeks. Why are we learning about this in social studies? Whoopie-doo-dah, who cares? The reason is simple. Washington demonstrated to the people and to the nation that the federal government would be supreme. If someone refused to obey the government, that person could easily end up in jail. In other words, if we don't like what the government is doing, we can talk about it, protest it, write about it, but in the end, we must obey the government. This was the significance of the Whiskey Rebellion.